All right, shalom, shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bashim, El Shai, Bashim, Kakadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone, who will and teach well, who taught us his truth. This is Brother Yashimai from the JMS Atlanta camp, and this is a continuation on an overview of Isaiah 19. Okay, now, I've done a video laying down some very important foundational scriptures. I would suggest watching that before you get into this video. And if you have, then let's go ahead and get straight into it, and we'll see how many verses we can cover. I'm trying to keep these under 25 minutes, 30 minutes at the most, just, in case brothers have other videos that, they're trying to get the edification on other topics. So, let's go ahead and continue on. We'll get verse 2. No, well, let's do a semi overview here on Isaiah 19. Isaiah 19 is a chapter that Christians use to pull verse 23 and say that the Egyptians and the Assyrians mentioned in verse 23 show that these other heathen nations can be saved. But as we are going to see, Isaiah 19 goes into the judgment of Egypt and the salvation of the Israelites. All right. Amos 3 and 2 says that the Most High has not known any other families of the earth. Now, for historical context also, we understand that Egypt was the first land of our captivity. All right. This is where Judah and Israel were oppressed together. All right. And then furthermore, we know that Assyria was the kingdom that took the northern kingdom into captivity. Okay. And now here we are today in spiritual Egypt, according to Revelations 11, verse 8. So Egypt is being judged. Why would the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushai give salvation unto the same group of people that slaughtered his own children? Does not make sense. And then even more so, verse 23, why would the Most High choose Egypt, specifically named Egypt and Assyria, to be saved when they were the ones that gave us the hardest bondage? Why not the Ammonites? Why not the Ishmaelites? Why not the Elamites? Why would the Most High save the Egyptians and the Assyrians? And the answer is because he's not talking about the Egyptians and the Assyrians. He's talking about Israelites. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Verse 2, Isaiah 19, verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Now, if the Most High is going to save these heathens, why is he going to make them fight against each other? All right, because these Egyptians are talking about these Egyptians are these Americans. All right, and this is also mentioned in the book of Second Ezra. We'll go ahead and get that. Second Ezra 15. 15, verse 15 and 16 says, For the sword, well, let's start at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draw near. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Verse 16, For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And when you go up to verse 12, it's who's this talking about? It's talking about Egypt. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. Is the Most High gonna strike Egypt again with these plagues, like actual Egypt? The answer is no. Egypt here is just synonymous with the final place of our captivity. America is Egypt, according to Revelation 11, verse 8. All right? The majority of the elect is in America. So Egypt here is synonymous with America, our final place of judgment, our final captivity. Okay? So going back onto the point of verse 2, when it says that the Egyptian is going to fight against the Egyptian, we can see that happening now. with these, right now it's, heavy Democrats versus the Republicans, and then, you even have the Republicans against the far right Republicans, and then you have another group that is mad at those people because, Trump hasn't released the Epstein files. Trump's, said that he was going to fire the IRS, but now he's hiring more IRS people. Right now, America is the most divided than it's ever been. All right. Everybody can agree on that. And we are seeing prophecy come to pass. We are seeing the Egyptian, we are seeing the American being set against the American, as mentioned in verse 2. Okay, so when the end, so the scriptures are telling us here, all right, that before Yahushua comes back, that there would be infighting. And matter of fact, let's get one more precept. Kingdom divided cannot, yeah, there you go, right there. A kingdom divided cannot stand. Yeah, Mark 3 and 25. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And that's exactly what America is. America is divided against itself. And so it's not going to stand. Jeremiah 51, verse 6, if not verse 7. Babylon has been a golden cup. Past tense. This place has fulfilled its purpose. All right. And that purpose was for our chastisement. All right. And now it's divided, and so it won't stand. In verse 3, back in Isaiah 19, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. Now, when the scripture says that the spirit shall fail, let's go and pull that precept. Ecclesiastes 12, uh, verse 4. And the doors shall be, well, let's start at verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and who are the keepers of the house? The keepers of the house are right now is Esau Edom. Because Esau Edom, he's the one that's in the driver's seat. As much as we hate it, it's the truth. This is his kingdom. Sirach 10, I believe it's Sirach 10, verse 1. Possibly verse 2 says that um in due time the Most High is going to set up a ruler that is profitable. That's a rough paraphrase, but right now, Daniel 4 verse 17, you know, let the earth know that the Most High reigns. He sets upon it whomsoever he wants, even the bases of men. Esau is set up to be over us right now. That's part of the curses. The tail would be the head, that's Esau, and then the head would be the tail. That's us for now. Okay? So the keepers of the house shall tremble, that's Esau Edom, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Verse 4, here's a point. And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall, Salakia, shall be brought low. So this is the spirit of Egypt failing. There is no more music. The grinding is ceasing. The grinding goes into work, goes into labor. You know, there are no new jobs. To the contrary, look at what's going on with AI. AI is causing the grinding to cease. They're talking about they don't even they're going to be closing down print shops. The fast food is going to be served by AI. And this is just the beginning of it, man. This is the grinding season. All right. And this is what was prophesied to happen before Yahweh Shai comes back. All right. So when the scriptures say that the spirit shall fail, that's talking about the spirit of America. Because what has been the spirit of America? The spirit of America is that, people come over here, from other countries because this is the land of opportunities. Everything good is supposed to be here. This is supposedly the city on the hill, the shining city on the hill, however you say it. But now people come over here and they want to go back. You see videos all on the internet about, people that are, they can't keep up with their bills. The food is being downsized. They're charging you more for food, but they're giving you smaller portions. The food tastes different. There is, the music is done for. The that is the spirit of Egypt failing, man. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. Let's go back, verse and then it says, "And I will destroy the council thereof." As all this is happening right before Yahushua comes back, these people aren't going to know what to do. Their kingdom is falling apart, and they're going to have no counsel. Isaiah 13, verse 10, "For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine." Now, brothers that are, somewhat mature in this truth understand that the sun and the moon are representative of wisdom and understanding. All right. So when it says that the sun is being darkened and the moon's not giving her light, that lines up perfectly with verse 3. He's destroying the counsel thereof. And we see that today. These people don't know what to do. Trump tried, with these tariffs, and supposedly he says money is being made, but I mean, do you see that? The cost of living hasn't gone down. Rent is still going up. Food is still going up. The only thing that has gone down is gas. But I mean, you think that they made the gas go down because they care about you? No, they made the gas go down so that you can take your ass to work and continue to make their money, man. All right, but their council is being destroyed. The sun's not giving off its light anymore. These people have no understanding, man. Continuing on, it says, um, where are we at? It says, "And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards," man. Now let's go ahead and get a precept on that. We'll get Isaiah 47, and we'll get verse 10. "For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said thou hast says, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it has perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me." And doesn't that sound exactly like Obadiah 1 verse 3? "The pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me to the ground?" You see how Isaiah 19 is lining up with Edom? That's because when that's because that's what it's talking about. And when Yahushua comes back, as Yahushua begins to draw near, these people aren't going to have answers, man. These people right now, they think that the help that they have gotten on the left hand, they think that's going to help them to continue on forever. But they're starting to see, man, there's nothing that they can do to stop this, man. Let's go ahead and get I had two precepts that came to mind. Their inward thought, their where's that? Psalms 49 verse 11. This is their pride. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Space Force. They think that they're gonna continue on forever, man. They think that they can't be brought down from their habitation, man, but they're going to be. Let me see. Got one more precept for that. Let's get word shall not come back void. There you go. Word shall not return void. Isaiah 55, verse 11, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." And what is the Most High sending? He's sending destruction of counsel. He's sending destruction of America and the melting of these idols. That's what he's sending, and there is no turning back from it. Let's continue on to verse 4 in Isaiah 19. "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Most High, the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai of hosts. So this cruel Lord, as the elder apostle Tahar goes into, this cruel Lord, first and foremost, is talking about Yahushai. Okay, because ultimately, once Egypt is destroyed, and while Egypt is being destroyed, because Second Ezra 15 says that he's going to smite Egypt with plagues, right? So so Egypt is going to be given up to a cruel Lord, which is Yahushai, while they're going down, and then the world and Esau, which is Egypt, is going to be given up to that cruel Lord because they're going to be dashed in pieces. Let's go and get some precepts here. Let's get Isaiah 13 and verse 9 so that we can prove all this. Going into the cruel wrath. All right. Isaiah 13, verse 9. Behold, the day of the Most High cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. So that cruel Lord is going into Yahushua coming back to reign, man. And I brought it up in the last video that I did, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it back up again. Amos 5, verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Most High. To what end is it for you? The day of the Most High is darkness and not light, because there's nothing but cruel punishment coming to you for the very same thing that you did to us. Galatians 6, verse 7. The Most High is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall reap. And what did Esau sow? He sowed destruction and violence. Revelations 13, verse 10. He that killeth by the sword must be killed by the sword. He that leadeth into captivity must be taken into captivity. This is that cruel Lord being spoken about in Isaiah 19. And then we'll get one more precept, which is in Revelation 2, right? Yeah, 2 and 27. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. So that cruel Lord, first and foremost, is going into Yahushua coming back and putting the wicked and the heathen under derision, under subjection, just as we were. And that cruel Lord is also going into, as we're seeing it now, with Trump. You know, these Egyptians, these Americans, they're not happy with Trump. They're not happy with these, with the censorship. They're not happy with the fact that they can't talk bad about a certain ish people. They're not happy about their taxes. Okay, they're not happy with the way that the immigration operation is going. You know, and then you know, as the Egyptians, the Northern Kingdom is dealing with this cruel Lord. Look at Alligator Alcatraz. Look at that prison in El Salvador. And now the Southern Kingdom is dealing with it. The National Guard is being deployed onto, cities throughout the U.S. to supposedly stop crime. But this is just ushering in martial law, man. All right. And who's at the forefront? The Israelites, Northern and Southern Kingdom. That is that cruel Lord being spoken about in Isaiah 19, verse 4. Uh, yeah, we'll go ahead and get verse 5. Might get verse 6 here. Okay, verse 5 says, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried up. And that's exactly what's going to end up happening. Even the prophet Habakkuk, he saw this in a vision, because when Yahushua comes, he's coming to destroy Egypt. Again, when these Christians go into the Old Testament, like you're really setting yourself up for failure, man, because the New Testament goes into your destruction, and then while you're in the well, yeah, yeah, it does. But I meant to say the Old Testament. But while you're in the Old Testament, let's talk about Obadiah, right? They don't want to do that. But let's get back onto the point. In verse 5, when it said the waters shall fail, and that the river shall be dried up and wasted, Habakkuk 3, verse 8, was the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was what was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea that thou didst ride upon the horse and the chariots of salvation? So what's this going into? It's going into this place being destroyed and the rivers being dried up, man, because there's going to be nothing left of this place once it goes down. All right. Once destruction comes to America, which is Egypt here, the rivers are going to be dried up. Everything is going down. All right. The scripture says that it should be a dwelling for owls and that the Arabian shall not pitch his tent. And that's poetic speak. We're basically saying it's done. And there ain't going to be nothing inhabited here. This will be forever burning. All right. Let's continue on. Let's get verse 6 and verse 7. And we'll probably end up, we'll see. 6 and verse 7. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up, the reeds and the flags shall wither. Verse 7. The paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. This is total destruction coming, as mentioned in Isaiah. I think we might have pulled that already, but Isaiah 13, yeah, 20. Well, yeah, I quoted. Says, "It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there." All right, this place is going to be completely and utterly destroyed, man. All right, so as we get ready to go into these other two verses, I want to just pause and say, where do these Christians, how silly is it for these Christians to then skip all of this and go down and pull this one verse right here? Matter of fact, I'm surprised that this ain't highlighted. You know, they'll skip all of this and then they'll say, right there. And then they'll go to that one and say, oh, yep, look right here. We can be saved. But up here, you're getting your ass handed to you. Everything has to be in context, man. All right, everything has to be in context. Um, let's go ahead and get it. Let's get verse 8, and we'll get down to verse. We'll get down to verse. We'll get down to verse 10 because 11. It's got a couple points that I want to make. Verse 8 says, "The fishers shall also mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. Moreover, they that work in fine flax and they that weave networks shall be confounded, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish." Now, this is all prophetic speaking. Well, yeah, it is, but it's all what's the word? Poetic speaking going into the destruction. Okay, because when it says that the fishers shall mourn, what precepts comes to mind that sounds just like this is Revelations 18, right? Um, Revelations 18, verse 10, and this is how we know that Egypt spoken about here is actually talking about Babylon. It's talking about America. Revelation 18, verse 10. We just read about the fishermen standing far off. We just read about what else? About the fine flax, about the different commodities, weave, networks. This is the same thing being mentioned in Revelations 18, verse 10 through 13. It says, "Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Here's the point, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, scarlet, thyine wood, all manner of vessels, ivory, all manner of vessels of most precious wood, brass, iron, marble, cinnamon, odors, ointments, frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, beasts, sheep, horses, chariots, slaves, and souls of men." So this is how we can also see that the Egyptians, the Egypt here is a prophetic speaking, talking about the final place of our captivity. So I think right here, I'm going to go ahead and stop it. And we're going to continue on with verse 11 in the next segment. So until the next one, shalom.